For decades now, Beyonce has always been considered one of the most stunningly beautiful women in the world. For many, a lot of people even consider her to be the beauty standard for Black women. Think about it. Anytime someone thinks you look good or compliments you, what do you usually hear them say? "Okay, Beyonce," or "Okay, girl over there looking like Beyonce," or some equivalent. This has been a thing for years. But something devastating happened along the way. Beyonce had a baby, and her name is Blue Ivy, and for a while after her birth, all hell let loose. Because of how much Beyonce's looks have been pedestalized, it was always a thing where people just knew her children were going to be just as equally stunning. But what happened instead was the internet started interneting. Sadly, the public did not think that baby Blue was as beautiful as her mother, and shortly horrible things started to be said about the innocent child. There were horrible comments made not only about the state of her hair, but about her facial features as well. They talked about how unkempt, dirty, and naughty this baby's hair was. The ridicule got so bad that at one point, someone made a petition to force Beyonce to do her hair. On top of that, people would come out and just blatantly call this child ugly. Because so many don't consider her father, Jay-Z, to be a looker either, and oftentimes call him a camel, they associated his daughter with looking the same, oftentimes calling both of them camels.
Look at Jay-Z and Beyonce. You know Jay-Z ugly than a motherfucker. Beyonce fine as fuck.
Blue Ivy ugly too.
Oh, here she go.
Quiet as it's kept.
Here she go.
But here are the top 6 things Blue Ivy thought about the VMAs with number 6.
I really did wake up like this because my parents never combed my hair.
I can't.
Sorry, Blue. I love you.
Now, Blue Ivy Carter is officially a teenager, and the internet can't stop talking about how much she's grown up, or how quote-unquote grown she looks. There's been a debate going on online lately talking about the amount of makeup Blue has been wearing and how seemingly provocative she's been dressing. For example, at this year's Grammy Award, where her mom won Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter, Blue had a complete beat face. Her face showed that she had just as much, if not more makeup on, than her mother. Not only was her face caked up with makeup, but people also noticed that this girl had her cleavage pushed all the way up the same way the grown women there did. Many people called out that this 13-year-old shouldn't be dressed like this. And some have even discussed how predatory Hollywood is, and that she is possibly bait for these snakes in the industry. This assessment of her was called out last year as well, when Blue showed up to the film premiere of her movie The Lion King 2. Many felt she was dressed too grown-up-like, and how 12 and 13-year-olds shouldn't dress as such. Then on the other side of the coin, people were saying that her red carpet looks were perfectly fine, because today's 13-year-olds are different than other generations' 13-year-olds. Which also the topic of Gen Z supposedly looking older than millennials comes up as well. And how, because Gen Z seems to have an obsession with not looking old, that kids who haven't even hit puberty yet are going to Sephora to buy anti-wrinkle face creams, skin-tightening serums, and loads of makeup. So with all this being said, in regards to Blue Ivy, the question is why? Could it be that due to all the public scrutiny her daughter has faced about her looks, that Beyonce is maybe kinda a little bit ashamed of Blue Ivy and her looks too? Why else would a mom want her daughter so caked up with makeup? Usually moms don't want their young daughters to look so made up. So could it be that B Feels Blue doesn't live up to her own beauty standard either? It wouldn't be the first time a Hollywood mom has done such, and this isn't a new conversation. Brooke Shields was a literal baby when she was introduced to Hollywood beauty standards, as well as its less than moral ways in the industry. Brooke Shields' rise to fame wasn't just about talent, it was deeply intertwined with the influence of her mother, Terry Shields. Terry, who struggled with alcoholism, was both a driving force and a source of conflict in Brooke's life. She managed her daughter's career with an iron grip, pushing her into modeling and film roles that, in hindsight, sparked major ethical debates. Looking back, many people question whether Brooke was too young for the roles she played, and looking at the magazines she posed for and movies she starred in could more than likely get you locked up. In the late 70s, young Brooke, who was 10 years old, posed for Playboy, and according to mom Terry, she was totally okay and even happy about it. Terry saw Hollywood as an opportunity, and Brooke, with her striking looks and poise, became a sensation, but many questioned whether the choices being made were in her best interest. She was placed in roles and campaigns that blurred the lines between youthful innocence and adult themes, leading to widespread controversy. As a kid, she starred in a movie called Pretty Baby, about a kid that grows up in a brothel. She appears nude in this movie as well. No one in the business was ever held accountable for participating in the creation of these images or movies. As Brooke grew older, she began to see the impact of her mother's decisions on her life. While Terry undoubtedly helped shape her career, she also exposed her to an industry that prioritized profit over protection. The strain in their relationship became more apparent as Brooke sought independence, realizing that the woman who was supposed to protect her had, in many ways, placed her in vulnerable positions. And these decisions still affect her to this day. Despite their challenges, Brooke remained loyal to her mother, grappling with the complex mix of love, resentment, and obligation. Terry's struggles with alcohol only deepened their tensions, making it difficult for Brooke to fully separate her success from the sacrifices and exploitation that came with it. Her story serves as a powerful cautionary tale about the darker side of child stardom. It highlights the consequences of parental ambition, the influence of an industry that often disregards well-being, and the lifelong journey of reclaiming one's identity after being shaped by forces beyond one's control. Britney Spears is another mega starlet who started young, but by her late teens, the media was already shaping how she was perceived. Britney Spears' journey to superstardom was meteoric, but behind the glitz and success was a young performer navigating an industry that demanded perfection at any cost. From the moment she entered the public eye, she was molded into a pop sensation, her image carefully curated by executives, the media, and those closest to her. At 16, 17, her image was pushed to entice grown men and be jailbait fodder. The world watched as she transitioned from a fresh-faced performer into a global phenomenon, but with fame came relentless scrutiny. Every move she made, her style, relationships, and personal choices, was dissected by tabloids and talk shows, shaping a narrative she had little control over. She was praised one moment and torn down the next, forced to balance the expectations of an industry that thrives on reinvention. Behind the scenes, the pressure was suffocating. The constant demands of her career, combined with an invasive media culture, took a toll on her mental and emotional well-being. Instead of being offered grace or understanding, she was sensationalized, with her struggles turned into headline fodder. The very industry that built her up seemed eager to tear her down when she no longer fit the image they had created. Her highly publicized legal battle for personal autonomy became a defining moment, not just for her, but for the conversation surrounding control, agency, and the exploitation of young stars. The fight to reclaim her freedom exposed how deeply the entertainment industry, the media, and even family dynamics can intertwine, often to the detriment of the very people they claim to protect. Britney's story is a stark reminder of the cost of fame, the dangers of being treated as a product rather than a person, and the long road to reclaiming one's identity after years of being controlled by forces beyond one's control. Kylie Jenner grew up in front of the world, and by the time she was a teenager, she was already influencing beauty trends. Kylie Jenner's rise to fame came with its own unique pressures, shaped largely by her famous family's image. While her sisters, Kim, Khloe, and Kendall, were already well established in the public eye, Kylie found herself grappling with an unspoken competition, not just for fame, but for beauty. Growing up in the shadow of her more established sisters, Kylie was often compared to them in ways that caused her to question her own appearance. Early on, she wasn't considered as conventionally beautiful as some of her siblings, and this criticism weighed heavily on her. The public's obsession with the Kardashian-Jenner look created an unrelenting standard for beauty, a standard that Kylie felt pressured to live up to. To keep up with the ever-growing beauty standards set by her family's brand, Kylie underwent several cosmetic surgeries, including lip fillers and other enhancements, sparking a broader conversation about body image in the age of social media. What began as a way to fit in with the idealized beauty norms transformed into an empire. Through her cosmetic line, Kylie turned her transformation into a business, building an impressive fortune. Her rise to wealth and fame became, in part, a result of her embracing the very standard that initially made her feel inadequate. But beneath the glossy exterior, Kylie's journey reflects a deeper internal struggle. The very changes she made to her appearance to feel more accepted and to meet society's standards also contributed to a sense of disconnect from her true self. The pressures of maintaining that image, amplified by the constant eye of the public and social media, have taken a toll on her self-esteem. Kylie's story is a powerful example of how fame, fortune, and beauty are inextricably linked in the modern age, and how this pursuit of perfection, while financially rewarding, can erode a person's sense of self. As she continues to navigate the beauty industry she helped shape. Her journey serves as a reminder that the search for validation from external forces often comes at the expense of internal peace. So the question I pose is, where does this leave Blue Ivy? Do you think now that she's growing up in a demanding environment, with her highly successful parents and a superficial society that scrutinizes girls' beauty or lack thereof, do you think her self-esteem is being affected? Do you think Beyonce is doing the right thing by allowing Blue to look so made up? After all, Blue isn't her only child who is being scrutinized right now either. Right now as we speak, her twins Rumi and Sir are also being denigrated for their looks as well as assumptions of their physical and mental well-being. People are saying that Rumi has the face of an old lady. And they're saying even worse stuff about Sir, who they are accusing of being on the spectrum and assuming he's severely disabled because Beyonce doesn't acknowledge him or show him publicly. People are assuming that B is actually very ashamed of her children. But lurkers, what do you think? Do you think Beyonce is ashamed of her children? Do you think it's okay for Blue to dress the way she has been lately? What do you think about the other Hollywood cases discussed here? Let me know down below.